This is Patriots linebacker, Super Bowl 49 champ, Darius Fleming, and you're watching VonAllen Sports. Real and honest NFL analysis. Subscribe now. Join the empire. VonAllen Sports, let's go!
VonAllen Sports. VonAllen Sports.
Let's go, guys. How are you guys doing? What's up? Glad to see you guys right now. Wow, we have a lot to go over tonight. Figure some of you guys are here to talk about the travesty that happened on Sunday. And as far as the games go, some of you are probably wanting to know who won, if you won your game or not in the quarterback tournament. So we've got a lot of different things to go over. Just to start off, okay, to get that out of the way, I got the coronavirus. So if I'm a little down tonight, if I'm a little not as into it, it's only because I got a little bit of vertigo going on, and things are kind of weird and strange. I feel kind of weak and odd, but other than that, I'm pretty much okay. But it might have, it might cause me to stutter, things like that, or say things. It's like I'm not entirely focused. But I didn't want to miss. I could have, but I didn't want to miss. And with everything that happened, and there's so much going on, I was like, got to have this show tonight. So thank you guys for being here. Let's see. Who's here right now already? The Gourd King is here. Elf of Courage. Satire Junk. Israel must be really happy right now. Jalen, what's up, man? Nightwalker. The German's back. Hell yes. Brian Magnum, what's up, man? Nightly Sinister. John Thomas Chavez. Well, yeah. Let's see. Is that it? Oh, yeah. That's everybody. Okay. So, yeah. Cool Hand Jared, first one up tonight. Cool Hand Jared sends a $2 super chat. Says, how about them Bengals? Bring on the Chiefs. Yeah, well, I think that the Bengals are starting to get things together at the right time. And that's what you need. It's kind of what happened to them last year, is that things started kind of clicking and they started getting things figured out. And that's the most important thing for when you're at the wanting to make a playoff run. Everybody, thinks that, oh, look at the record, and I'm not just talking about the Bengals. I'm talking about like any team. Everyone's always obsessed with the record. Well, kind of. The record you should be looking at is the last, I say last 4 weeks, not even 4 games. I say last 4 weeks, because the last 4 weeks can sometimes mean 3 games if you've got a bye, right? So, yeah, but I'm not gonna. That's not a hard decision as far as like just kind of analyzing, like we're doing right now. You could say 5 games, you could say 6, whatever, but just a short amount of games. That is, in my opinion, that is how you are in the recent. So it's so many people are like, well, we were so good in week 1 and week 2, so the only way that's relevant is when you need those wins for a playoff seeding. So that was when it matters. But it doesn't tell us how well you're playing. It just doesn't. Week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, all that stuff. It's gone. It's gone. You're a different team now. Every single team in the league is different. They're either worse or they're better or they're the same, or they've got injuries. They've got sometimes people add players depending on if there was a trade made. In the case of Christian McCaffrey, look what that did for the 49ers. My God, the 49ers, man, they are they're just a good team. They are built for the playoffs. The only thing that can stop the 49ers is their coach. Their coach. I mean, he's just an arrogant, just full of himself, and he's arrogant because of his father. So basically, he's arrogant not because of something he's done, but something his father's done. You can't live off, your daddy's Super Bowl victories. But he thinks that makes him special. And it's just going to keep happening. It's just going to keep happening. Him and, like I've always said, several times here, him and Brady, they didn't see eye to eye, which is why Brady didn't go to San Francisco. Now there's a thing with Jimmy. And I'm with Jimmy, actually, on this. I think the play calling is shit. They should have won their game the other night by 30, probably. And that is Shanahan is just not good at this kind of thing where he has absolute control, because that's a different style of coaching. It's a different job. It's entirely different than being an offensive coordinator. He was pretty good at offensive coordinator, except for his questionable decision making at the end of the Super Bowl 51. I personally would have slowed it down, kind of just started running the ball, kind of just trying to run up the clock, just all that. The very conservative. I would have gotten really conservative if my team was up 28-3 before the fourth quarter. And he didn't do that. He decided to, keep pushing, keep passing, keep throwing, and I don't even really have much of a problem with it. As far as like, okay, I could see that he did that. It takes balls to do that. But was it the smart decision? Probably not. I mean, and it has nothing to do with the outcome, because we have to judge it based on what would you have done before you knew the outcome. So you got to reset back before that, and then, okay, what is the right decision here? It's kind of like the Russell Wilson throw. Would I have ran Marshawn Lynch and then risked giving up an extra down? Probably. That's probably what I would have done. It doesn't mean what they did was wrong. It's just about what would you have done if Russell and that pass, and they're in that situation 10 times out of 10, maybe that ball gets picked off just that one time. Now something else might happen, an incompletion, or anything could have happened. But the point is that we can argue all day about what's what. But Shanahan was a pretty damn good offensive coordinator, okay? And that's the truth. Head coach, no. And I think we're learning this. There's a lot of bad coaching right now in the league. A lot of bad coaching. And we're going to, trust me, we've got a lot. I've got a lot to say about that. Alpha Courage, since a $5 super chat, he says, VonAllen, you should totally incorporate the Spartan helmet into your logo. That would be very cool. The guys, what he's referring to is, for those of you who might not know, he's referring to the video game Halo. And Spartan is, actually, wait a minute. He might not be. He might not be talking about Halo. He might be talking about actual Spartans. He might be talking about the Roman. So actually, before I say that, are you talking about because Alpha Courage, I associate you with video games, because you love Link and you love Legend of Zelda. So when you see you post stuff, I think of video games with you. So you say Spartan, I think, Spartan helmet, I think of Halo. Anybody else would have said that, would have thought of Titans. Roman, or not Roman. God, see, I told you, I'm going to make some mistakes tonight. My brain's a little cloudy. Greece. So, yeah. But I do, if you're talking about the Greek helmet, I do have that. I do have a logo like that actually. So, in fact, you'll see it tonight. It's posted in the playoffs, the quarterback tournament bracket. So. Israel, since a $5 super chat, he says, do you think Andy Reid is the greatest offensive mind since Bill Walsh? Guys like Shanahan, McVay, Mike McDaniel are good, but definitely overrated. If he's not, he's damn close. Another guy that doesn't get a lot of attention, doesn't a lot of, he did back then, but he doesn't anymore. Well, let me think about anybody else before I say that. Since Bill Walsh. So since Bill Walsh, let's see. Nope. Yeah. So I would take Andy Reid or Mike Martz. So Mike Martz is the one I was just talking about. Mike Martz was the offensive coordinator for the greatest show on turf for the 1999 Rams with Kurt Warner when they did all that crazy stuff. Okay. Mike Martz, I thought this offense was amazing. It was incredible. Okay. Now where his fault lied was as a head coach, and that comes crashing down. Again, Mike Martz was not head coach material, and that's what we're finding with a lot of these guys. But then Mark's style, he did not adjust. He didn't really change with the game as it was evolving. Andy Reid has done that. So I would say Mike Martz is still up there for what he did with the greatest show on turf. So, but terrible as head coach. Andy Reid, yeah, I agree with you. I think, yeah, there's a lot we could mention, but those two probably are the ones that probably my favorite when it comes to guys who are just millions of miles ahead of most people when it comes to offensive scheming. Also, you guys don't freak out on me, but I sincerely mean this. I'd have to throw Peyton Manning in there. So you guys have to understand that Peyton, a lot of his career and a lot of the things he accomplished were just basically him coming up with plays and him, deciding when to call them and scheming and things like that. Not that he didn't have offensive coordinators who helped with that, because it's a full-time job to do that. You can't do it all. But if Peyton Manning wanted to be an offensive coordinator, I think he would be one of the greatest that's ever lived. I think we would be talking about him like Andy Reid or like Mike Martz. Now, I can't say Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh completely changed offensive football. That's a level, and of course you didn't say that either. I'm just trying to get that on record and make sure that no one says, "Hey, you said Andy, Peyton Manning would be as good as Bill Walsh." No, okay, but Peyton is up there, and what he was able to do as a player, when you don't have that time to devote to it, you just that alone should give him some props, and we don't see that anymore, which we should. The NFL should, and again, that goes to my complaint about coaching, is that coaches are ruining this league right now. They are ruining players. They're ruining players' careers, and something's got to be done, or else. I mean, you got to put this game back into the hands of the players, and these coaches are a bunch of, I mean, just think about this. Look where it's at right now. Imagine if they don't stop this trajectory, right, Israel? If they don't stop this trajectory that they're going on with these coaches that are living vicariously through their quarterback and trying to be the player. Imagine in 15 to 20 years, even less than that, okay, maybe 10 years, we've got offensive coordinators who grew up strictly playing Madden football on Xbox, right? That's when it's going to get really bad, really awful, as far as the living vicariously through your quarterback. So, yeah, I mean, you got to put it back in the hands of your players. And in my opinion, the offensive coordinator's job is or what I would want to see, and what I would prefer is the coordinators main job would be going through the game plan through the week, coming up, helping with the game plan, coming up with the plays, keeping everyone together, looking out for procedural things during a game, giving info to the quarterback that they might see or they might have forgotten. All kinds of those things. Maybe even giving in some opinion into a play or insight to a play. But ultimately, what I'd like to see is the quarterback makes the decision. So it's all on the quarterback is the one out there deciding. So we put it back into the hands of the players, and I think the game would be much more interesting. What we're seeing is that the quarterbacks are putting up more numbers now. They're getting higher completion percentages, and they're getting more yards, and they're getting more passing touchdowns and all those things. But it doesn't necessarily tell us that they're good, and it doesn't mean that it's good football or it's better. It's just, I'm kind of one of those type of people that I like to see the mistakes and the successes, but on the quarterback himself. I don't like interference from outside. I don't like stupid penalties, and I don't like the coaches getting involved in intervening. I want to see the quarterback go out there and make it happen. If he throws a pick, he throws a pick. Okay? Whatever. If he throws a touchdown, he throws a touchdown, but it's the quarterback making the decision, and he's the one doing it. That's what I'd like to see. And I would accept interception ratios going back up the way they used to be. I would accept that. I would be fine with that if it meant the quarterbacks were in control, if they were the ones doing it. I just want to know that my guy is the one doing it. The game is in his hands, not the stupid coaches. And again, one of the most egregious examples of this in the last few years was the NFC Championship game, Packers, Bucs, when at the very end they needed 8 points and they didn't let Aaron go for it on fourth. You've got to. So you didn't put it in his hands. Does he make it or does he not? That's irrelevant, because now what we know now is that they didn't win anyway. So it was still the wrong decision, I guess. But no matter what, even if you gave it to Aaron and he didn't make it, you can say, look, we put it in the hands of our quarterback. That's what it should be about, and that's what it should be. That's it. That's just how I feel. I don't like all this just do this, and this. And I mean, it's looking ridiculous now that these quarterbacks who are just not very good and they're getting killer numbers. And I'm going to point this out to you guys later on the show. I'm going to show you something that's been going on, because I've managed to, I found a new fan base to harass and annoy. And they've never been on my radar really, but now they are, which is the Miami Dolphins fans. So I've managed to piss off a whole lot of them. So that's always good. That was a great question, Israel. I like that. That was really good. Yeah. You meant the Greek Spartans. Okay. Yeah. I told you my head's foggy tonight, and I'm pretty sure I corrected myself after I said Roman. So I also said Halo. So anyway, yeah. So the Greek Spartans, the actual real Spartan helmets, I've used it once before, and what it was is I was making a logo design for the Tennessee Titans, and so I changed the VonAllen Sports logo with the Titan with the Spartan helmet. And I started using that because I thought it looked pretty cool, and no, it's not Roman. A Roman helmet is much different, but I may go with, like I consistently like the Roman look and the Roman, terminology and stuff, but really it's not even just about Roman. It's just about, I like historical empires. So I would throw, ancient Egyptian empires. I would throw in Greece and just all kinds of, different things. It doesn't matter. Even Carthage, stuff like that, doesn't have to necessarily be Roman. It's just something that Rome is my favorite. But yeah, I've mixed it up here and there with different things. So, but yeah, that would be cool to make another one like that. Kevin Godnett, he likes March too. Yeah, guys like Norv Turner and Brian Billick flamed out. Yeah, they're just there's some guys, and also again, this is why Andy Reid is better. I would say I would put him over Mike Martz, because Mike Martz had that awesome moment in time where it was awesome, but it went away and he didn't evolve. Andy Reid has been in the league for decades, okay, for a very long time, and he's always managed to know what to do. He's always managed to evolve with the game and change things and alter and know what the next thing's coming. It's very impressive what he's been able to do. So, but yeah, that Greatest Show on Turf is something else, man. Yeah, Phil Williamson, that's a good point. What's up, Anthony Preston? Actually, Elf of Courage, Tua Worship is a very good Basement Butthurt series. But I've also want to do some Basement Butthurt episodes on this NFL is Rigged. Not the gentleman that came on. That's not who I'm after. I'm after this other guy who is charging people money, and lying to them about this stuff. And also the fans who are still fans of football, but they think that only it's rigged when Brady or the Patriots win. Go figure. So, and also I'd like to look into possibly doing some more Brady Hate Saga episodes, because now the Brady Hate's coming back and there's some new stuff coming. See, I thought I basically answered every possible Brady accusation there is, but now they're coming up with new ones. So it may be time to kind of look into that. Tapasio, what's up? Haven't seen you in a while. D. Bateman, what's up, man? It's good seeing a lot of you guys back here. So, yeah, it's with Andy Reid. Would Patrick Mahomes look like he is without Andy Reid? I'll put it this way. He wouldn't look this way without an elite offensive mind, because that's the point, right? That is the advantage. But we have to remember, though, that when Andy Reid and the Chiefs went from Alex Smith to Patrick Mahomes, this level was raised. They jumped up significantly in quality of play, and I thought Alex Smith was a really good quarterback. He just had a ceiling that he couldn't cross. So this is not an insult to Patrick to say, yes, it wouldn't be like that with Andy Reid, but that's Andy Reid's thing. And Andy Reid picked Patrick because Patrick fit that, and that's what he wanted to do. A better argument, as far as if you want to say Andy Reid affecting players on the field and their performances versus what would happen if they were used somewhere else, the better argument is not against Patrick, because I think any offensive coordinator who is not a complete moron could use Patrick in a way that gets him in the top 10 every year. I'm not saying all of them, but I'd say most of them who are pretty good. So that's Mahomes there too. That's him doing that. But the argument against a player who have never seen benefit more from scheming in the last 20 years, has got to be Travis Kelce. Okay. And I know I get shit from people, and I get shit from people on Twitter that I hate Travis Kelce, and that I'm not impressed by him. And, even Chisel Adonis was on here, and he thinks Travis Kelce is the best tight end in the league. Looking back at, when I rewatched our live show, I wish I would have probably engaged a little more, but we weren't debating. He was a guest on my show, but I just wish I'd gotten on tape there some more opinion regarding why I think it's Kittle. Okay, but Kelce benefits greatly from the Andy Reid offensive scheme. Okay, he is wide open constantly, and these are not from insane moves. These are not from him shedding his guy. It's some of it's route running. He's pretty decent route runner, but he's not. I don't look at Travis Kelce and go, "Wow, did you see this? Did you see how amazing that is?" Okay, I think he's a good tight end. I think somewhere else, just nearly anywhere else, unless they've got an exceptional offense and uses that type and uses that style, and then they have a quarterback that can deliver those balls all the time like Mahomes does. I don't know if Kelce isn't just, I don't know. I'm not going to say bad, but pretty. He would still be pretty good. But I just don't. All this that he's the greatest of all time and all that. No, sorry. But when you've got tight ends, especially tight ends that have played, you got tight ends right now in the league that make things happen, that will things into existence, even when they're being double covered and constantly pulled on and pushed and held and all kinds of things. And they just make things happen. They will things happen. They grab the ball and then they just run with it. I mean, Kelce is wide open more than any freaking person I've ever seen in my life, except for Tyreek Hill. So Tyreek Hill constantly open all the time. Now look, this Chiefs keeps going along, don't they? They keep going along, and there's another wide receiver that no one's ever heard of, and then they just he's wide open all the time. They get a little scat back out there and stuff. What the hell? Okay, what's happening here? No. So for Andy Reid's thing, you need the quarterback and you need the head coach. But the rest of it kind of falls into place if you've got a good scheme. And I think Travis Kelce benefits from that more than anybody I've seen. Reid's brilliant, man. So. But I'm not a big that's the system when it comes to quarterbacks that much. Quarterbacks are different than other players. So a tight end, for example, relies on, can the quarterback get him the ball? You can be wide open, but if you ain't got a quarterback that doesn't see you and just pretends like you don't exist, I mean, if you've got a Baker Mayfield out there, I mean, no offense, but how many wide open guys has Baker missed, or Mitch Trubisky? You got a guy like that. Kelce's not putting up these numbers, even if Andy Reid's the coach. Okay, so you need a quarterback that knows what they're doing. Kelce has spent his career with Alex Smith and then with Mahomes. And Alex Smith, if there's one thing, you can knock Alex on a bunch of stuff, but there's one thing that Alex can do. It is find the right target, to find the open guy, to know where he's going with the football, and that's what you need. So, again, Kelce is a very excellent player, really excellent player. But his benefit, the actual numbers he's putting up compared to why it's happening, he probably benefits the most, I'd say. So, but you could say a player like that is system. You could say a position. I mean, a position is a system, like wide receiver, running back, things like that. That would be more dependent on the system. A quarterback is different. You can't do that with a quarterback. And the reason you can't is because the quarterback runs it. He's the one that makes everything happen. He's the one that puts it all together. So you can be the smartest guy on the sidelines. You can be this brilliant coach, and you're a mad scientist and all this stuff. You ain't got a quarterback to execute this thing. You ain't got shit. Okay, it's not going to work. So you can be this brilliant offensive mind, but if you ain't got a guy who can deliver it and get it done, you're screwed. And that's it. And that's what Patrick Mahomes provides. Is Patrick understands the offense. He knows where to go with the ball. He makes good decisions more times than not. And he's very athletically gifted, and that's what you want to see from a quarterback. So, yeah, this when it comes to quarterbacks, I don't like the system term. And the only reason I said that in the Joe Montana or the Montana versus Brady documentary is because I was being kind of a dick. Okay, so people were saying that Tom Brady is a system quarterback, and I was pointing out that, well, if anybody's a system quarterback, it's Joe Montana, right? I mean, Bill Walsh created the paint by numbers quarterbacking system. It's like, okay, do these steps, do this and this, and you know where your wide receiver is going to be. They're going to be open. They're going to be there where you want them to be. If you can do that, you can be a pretty good quarterback, okay? But not anyone can do it. You can't just throw anyone at quarterback for San Francisco and make that happen. The guy has to understand what he's doing. He has to be able to get it done, and he also has to be able to actually throw and not crumble under the pressure. It doesn't matter how good the scheme is if you don't know what you're doing and you freak out. So otherwise, everybody would be doing it, and everybody would be achieving and winning crap all the time, and we wouldn't see such bad quarterback play. I can tell you a lot of great coaches out there, great offensive minds who have had quarterbacks that can't do anything. So. Kevin Garnett sends a $5 super chat. He says, remember when Kelsey told Brady after the Super Bowl, I thought you'd pull this off, huh? You didn't believe you'd win. No, I'm not familiar with that. I don't know. I might have missed that one. I didn't know about that. So. Cohen Jared asked, how would Gronkowski be if he was with Andy Reid? Well, with Gronk, so Gronk is a different case. So, first of all, if we're talking about numbers, Gronk is a true tight end, okay? So the problem with this is that Kelsey is a wide receiver for all intents and purposes, okay? He's a wide receiver in the way that he runs routes, the way he lines up, the way they use him, and the way he's treated by the league. And what I mean by that is by the refs. The refs treat Travis Kelce as if he is a wide receiver. So tight ends usually take more punishment in the passing game because they're how big they are and their size and speed and everything, and they're just monsters, right? Kelce is treated though not in that way. He benefits from this greatly. As where Gronk, a lot of his numbers are limited because Gronk is such a great blocker that if Gronk had decided he wanted just to be a offensive lineman, I believe he could have been all pro. Okay, so that's how good he was at that. So he's splitting time. So Belichick is going to use him a lot for blocking. So he's not getting as many opportunities in the passing game for things like that. And he's probably getting more tired as the game goes on. He took a lot of punishment. He took a lot of crap from people, and they let them get away with it. Gronk made things happen. A lot of it was just get the ball to him, and there he goes. Okay? The best equivalent I can come up with from another sport to describe Rob Gronkowski is Shaquille O'Neal. So when Shaq was in his prime, and we'll say the early Lakers Shaq was probably the best in my opinion. What are you going to do? Okay? And it got so bad to where they just come up with hack a Shaq. We're just going to keep sending him to the free throw line. You had to do something to stop him. Well, the NFL did that to Gronk. They decided we're going to let Gronk be ridden. We're going to let people hold him. We're going to let people push him, hit him, do whatever they need to do to get him down. And the NFL's actual response was, he's too big and strong. They said this regarding a men's game, a men's professional game, that he's too big and too strong. Until they change how they officiate tight ends for Kelsey and not to his advantage, we can talk, okay? But if Gronk, to answer your question, if Gronk was on another team, if Gronk was with Andy Reid, it would be very similar into his yards and touchdowns, and it wouldn't, in fact, it might even be more. So actually it would. If Andy Reid decided that he didn't want Gronk blocking, okay? Well, first of all, Gronk missed a lot of time in some parts to Bill Belichick's shitty coaching, or I should say shitty decision-making, not shitty coaching, however you want to call it. Shitty decision-making, meaning bad weight training, irresponsible training, irresponsible upkeep on him, meaning making him practice when he shouldn't or doesn't need to, constantly putting the wear and tear on, all because of the mantra of the Patriot way, which I understand in the long run, that's the way it is. But we're just talking a hypothetical about the difference between him being with Andy Reid, him being with Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick was also a contributing factor to a lot of Gronk's injuries, just from wear and tear and putting him out there maybe when he shouldn't have been, and utilizing him on things that are irrelevant, like putting him on an extra point so he can get his arm broken. That, that's pretty damn stupid, okay? So that's a bad coaching decision right there. Andy Reid probably would not even worry about putting Gronk on the line with his ability to catch the ball and then run with it and make things happen. So Gronk would probably be just absolutely destroying the league as far as numbers go. But he would be a different tight end. Andy Reid probably would have had him lose a little bit of weight, be a little less stocky, a little less rigid, and more athletic, which he's doing with Kelsey. So yeah, the numbers would be great, but we wouldn't probably, with Andy, we probably wouldn't know Gronk to be such a great blocking tight end. So, and that's what a tight end is. A tight end is a hybrid of two positions. Okay, it's a offensive lineman essentially and a wide receiver, and that's the two things that you marry together, and that's how you get a tight end. When you're tight end like Kelsey is just doing wide receiver stuff, that's not a tight end. This is a wide receiver with a cool name. But now Kelsey's getting wide receiver numbers, but they're putting it in the tight end column, which is completely unfair and completely stupid and makes no sense. There you go. So somewhere in there, I think I answered the question. Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate it, man. Yes, Jalen. Yeah, we're going. Yeah. Oh no, not the picks. No. The picks are on the VAS live show at the end of the week. But I will be showing you the results of who won and who moved on. So. As far as personally, no, I don't like Kelsey. I think he's a complete dickhead. I think he's a punk ass. So, and that's his problem. That he has done those things on and off the field. I'm just catching up real quick, guys. Seeing what y'all are saying. Jalen, yeah, that's a good point. But in this scenario, I think Andy Reid would just at some point, probably after the first few years, would just basically do what he does with Kelsey and kind of have him just run around and go out. And I think that would still be enough. The scheme already is enough. What you're talking about, that when Gronk would get a lot of his touchdowns after he was blocked, that's Gronk making it happen. In Andy Reid's system, he probably wouldn't even need to do that. So he would be a different player. It would just be a different thing altogether. But yeah. Gordy King, that's a good analogy there. He says Kansas City Chiefs is like the Soviet hockey team, a well-oiled machine that you have to attack if you want to put them on their heels. And I have to ask, why are so many teams so stupid when they play the Chiefs? It just makes no sense. Every week I see this. Teams they'll get in the red zone and then they'll just do the dumbest shit. It's not like the Chiefs were doing anything that crazy. I'm talking about just like very stupid stuff, like procedural things, idiotic things. It's very, very annoying, but absolutely, Gord King. Let me turn this stupid thing off. Okay. It's anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So these teams every week they do stupid things, and there's a reason for this. And the reason is because when you play a great team, an amazing team, a team that is always in the hunt, that everyone kind of looks at as the standard bearer for the conference, you start to do stupid crap, and you don't play your game. And a lot of times coaches try to outsmart the other coach and blah, 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 and this and that. This happens with a lot of teams. Now, the Chiefs, I'm not going to call them a dynasty, but they have that kind of potential, that making, kind of like Seattle had that brief moment in time where it's like, oh, could they become something? The Chiefs kind of get treated like a dynasty type team, but without being a dynasty. And people start to second guess themselves and make mistakes and do stupid things. And yeah, you can't do that. I'm sure you guys remember when Brady was with the Patriots, this happened all the time. All we had to do to win was just not do stupid stuff. And teams would always find ways, and they would just find ways to screw it up. And you just let them do it. And the Chiefs enjoy that quite a bit now. And, that's part of it, man. That's part of being great. And that's part of being a good team, a great team, a well-coached team. And that's why coaching is so important. And that's why I tell you guys, coaching isn't the number one thing, but it's the second. And that second is extremely close to the first, which is the quarterback. But it's close, Quarterback and coaching. If you got those, you got a shot. You got a chance. Yes, you need defense, but your defense can get hot at the end of the year, get you some decent stops here and there, and you can win. You can do it. But you need that quarterback to dictate the pace of the game. Even a great quarterback can even help your defense, by time of possession, constantly getting on third down, converting on third down, constantly, wearing out the other team. Your defense doesn't spend much time out there. So maybe your defense isn't that great, but they're actually looking better because of what you're doing as a quarterback. So those things come into play. Yes, you have your one-offs every once in a while where you can have a quarterback that's not amazing and the team can win, but you're not going to have long-term success. You're not going to have consistency. The Bears learned that. Giants learned this. The Baltimore Ravens have seen that. This has happened a lot. So, but for the most part, if you got a great quarterback and a great coach, you're going to go places. I mean, look at 2011 is actually a good example. Both Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady had some of the worst defenses in the league. And Aaron got to the NFC Championship game, I believe, in 2011. And didn't they go 15-1? They had a pretty good record that year. And then Tom Brady made it all the way to the Super Bowl. So those are things that you can cover up for, but maybe you can't win it all. So, but still, you got a shot. So, and again, I'm referring to long-term success, long-term being good. There's always outliers here and there. You can always find interesting ways to put a team together and, catch people off guard. Like, whoa, what's happening here? So. Do I watch college football? No, not really. The only time I do is I'll watch some of the championship games and then I'll watch film on the quarterbacks that are coming up into the draft. But other than that, not really. Jalen, that is a great observation. So, guys, if you don't see this comment from Jalen, he says, on the field, Kelsey seems mentally defeated when his team is down and when it's late. He doesn't seem like the guy who fights to the last bell. That is a good observation, and that is something that I've noticed in him too. That's true. Cold blue water. That's interesting. About Tom and Mike Evans not throwing the ball one-on-one. The problem. So I guess we're going to be moving on now to the Bucs here. Naturally, we'll just go with the flow here. So, that's right. They did lose. That was the divisional. That's right. Because that was a big, like, what the, yeah, that was in the divisional. I was thinking it was the championship game. But yeah, I think they were a pretty damn good team that year, though. So, they had the number one seed, and so they didn't have to play in the first round. Yeah, of course it was. I knew that was the 49ers. I don't know why I did that. Yeah, that 49ers Giants game, I remember so well because me and Milena had just met. We had just started dating a little bit after that. And I remember the 49ers receiving a punt and fumbled it. And I remember thinking, I can't believe that the 49ers just fumbled a trip to the Super Bowl on a punt return. What a way to go out. And I was going for them. I was going for the 49ers. I wanted to see them against the Pats, but yep. That's a tough way to lose, guys. So yes, Tyler, at this point, Kansas City is going to the Super Bowl. Unless something crazy happens, unless something, that could happen with anybody, something bizarre. But if they keep playing at the pace they're at right now, there is no team in the AFC that I see that can stop them. And I know people want to say Buffalo has a chance. Well, no. Buffalo makes a lot of stupid errors when the game is on the line or things are happening. What Josh Allen does in the red zone and the mistakes he makes is really frustrating. Now I know they make up for it in like big plays and things like that, but I don't know. I don't trust them. I do not trust the Buffalo Bills team until they've proven to me that they can do it. They've not proven that. So they find a way to screw it up, and somewhere along the line. The Chiefs have proven that they can win big games. So I think they're better right now at this point. Right now, I think they play better, and they're better equipped to play in the playoffs than they were last year. So, and yeah, that was crazy what the Bengals did to them. That was just a great game plan by the Bengals, and honestly, the Chiefs didn't play all that well. And anything can happen. But as of right now, if I had to just say what team from the AFC, I know that's the easy answer. It's like, oh, well, of course, duh. But I got to be honest at the same time. So, yeah, Jalen, and that's so frustrating, isn't it? You know, that's so frustrating that that when they're good, they're just amazing. You know, and like I said, I love Josh Allen. I like Stephon Diggs. I like seeing them those guys do their thing. I like the coach. I like the passion that the fans have, the Buffalo Bills fans, and their excitement and how much they care about their team. I respect that, you know, but I just don't trust them. Not yet. So we'll see. There's still a lot of games left, guys. There's still plenty of weeks left for teams that are hot to start going cold, or teams that are cold to start getting hot. So we're not there yet. But if I had to say, if the playoffs started right now, blah, 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 you know, I would pick KC in the AFC, and well, on the NFC side, it's obviously not Tampa Bay, but it'd be San Francisco or Dallas. Yep, San Francisco or Dallas. That's who I'd go with. So you got Dallas with a experienced head coach who's been there, who's won a Super Bowl, with a great roster, very good team, who is just killing it right now. The Cowboys, my God, are they killing it right now? Good for them. You got San Francisco, whose only weakness is their coach, so that could be a problem in during the playoffs. But you know, I think you guys agree with me, and we've been saying this for weeks now, that San Francisco is not what their record said they were. They were much better than that. So when you look at San Francisco, you have to think of San Francisco in a way. You see the 49ers on your schedule, like the Dolphins are going to experience. You see 49ers on your schedule and you look at the record. You might as well look at the 49ers as, you know, an 8-win team, because that's what they are now. And it's all about what you're doing now. The only weakness would be the coaching right there, if they're going to make a mistake in the playoffs. Eric Cooley, welcome. Dolphins 49ers Super Bowl. That could be interesting. Yeah. Marino's, that was, yep. Cohen, Jared already got there. Yeah, it was Marino's second year. He threw for 48 touchdowns. Crazy to do that in 1984. Imagine. Had to wait 20 years for someone to break that. It's insane. And it took a guy like Peyton Manning to do it. They don't really need Jimmy, Jalen. I see what you're saying, but they don't really need Jimmy to be amazing. They just need him to not screw up. And I think Jimmy not screwing up is more likely than Shanahan not going full idiot. And also, for all we know, a lot of the problem for Jimmy could be Shanahan. He could be micromanaging everything. I don't know a lot about the inside and how the thing works between Shanahan and his quarterbacks, as well as I knew about the Rams, but that might be the issue there. So if you remember, Shanahan was offensive coordinator when Matt Ryan won MVP, which means that he didn't have complete control on how things were done. And Matt Ryan was already there and all that, an established quarterback. So something outside here. The hell? But no, it's much more likely if I had to put money on, it's much more likely that Shanahan does something dumb before Jimmy screws it up. Jimmy does not have to be amazing. He doesn't. And that's because that's the way the 49ers are built. They're built for that. They're that kind of team that I was talking about earlier. One of those teams that can win a Super Bowl. Maybe they can't be a dynasty or whatever, but they can come out in one game or one season and do something and make something happen. They're one of those type of teams. But I think when the cards are all at the table, I think Dallas is playing just a bit better. So, but they're both great. I like the Vikings. So Kevin, don't hate me on that. I like the Vikings, but I just want to see them do this down the stretch and at the end. So, that ass whipping they took by the Dallas Cowboys is problematic. It is, and they had a good game against the Patriots, but that also I use that as a measuring stick for how I think New England is making good strides. But that can't be just looked over, that ass whipping. That means that day to take an ass kicking like that in your own stadium after you've been playing so well, the only thing you could attribute a loss like that to is lack of mental toughness. So the moment things go wrong, you kind of lose it there. And that's a bit worrying. So that would only reason why I would put the Vikings behind those two. So, and then you got Philly as well. So, but again, Vikings are just this type of thing. I want to see this. I want to see them do something. Let's see how they are towards the end of the year and go from there. So. Yeah, Jalen, if they play against the Chiefs, they're in trouble again. It's going to be the same thing, lack of scoring. Yeah, so that's just not the type of team they are. Unless they do it, unless Jimmy comes out and blows us all away and does something different. But I would like to know if, any 49ers fans, have been following the team really closely. I would like to know what the communication is between quarterback and coach on the 49ers there and how detailed it is. Yeah, I have courage. It could be. It a lot of teams rally around ass kickings like that. We've seen, we've all seen the Patriots do that, but that's the Patriots, right? This is a Kirk Cousins team. I like Kirk, and I like what I'm seeing. Justin Jefferson, awesome. Freaking amazing. I love watching him play. I want to see a Vikings game every week now just because of that guy. They seem to be a well put together team. It's still mind-blowing that their head coach used to be one of our backups in New England. It's just how fast time has gone by is insane. All right. So let's Let's talk about the Bucs real quick. Now I know I posted a video of me ranting on the balcony of my apartment here, but I was really pissed off and not thinking straight. And I was just very angry. And why? The reason I'm so angry is because I don't like ineptitude on levels that we've been seeing with Tampa. The complete team-wide idiocy that's going on. You're wasting Tom's last year in Tampa. You are pissing away a great roster where the general manager has managed to put all these players on the same team together, fit it under the cap. And teams like this don't happen very often. You don't get too many chances with things like this. And you're just pissing it away for no reason. It's just really mind-blowing. Now, I know that they cannot fire Todd Bowles. Contractually, they won't do it. There's no way that they would pay two coaches. Now, what they could do is demote him to defensive coordinator, but then there would be questions about would the players respect them after something like that? Would it cause an even bigger rift with some of the players who may be really loyal to him? The PR nightmare would be make things even worse. So I don't know what you would do. I think, but a good step that they could take would be to fire Byron Leftwich. So we all understand Todd Bowles is a shitty head coach. Okay, that is painfully obvious, clearly, and never this should be a lesson learned. You don't know what you got till it's gone. And as idiotic as things were when Bruce Arians was coach, I never thought it could get this dumb and this stupid. And it's amazing. This team, these players have no respect for Todd Bowles. They have no respect for him at all. They don't take him seriously. They don't play hard for him. The defense seems to be pretty good, but the offense, they don't. I think what was happening before is that Bruce Arians was being a hard ass on the offensive players, and I don't think he really managed with the defense that much. And so the offensive guys, when they would make mistakes or they would not try as hard, I think Arians was in their face and constantly on top of them. Now that's not there. And it's just left up to Byron. And Tom can't be everywhere at once. And Tom's been going through his own stuff at the same time. But again, you have to have coaching, guys. Anybody who tells you you don't need coaching is not understanding the situation. So you got to have coaching. Not only does Byron have to go, but someone has to be made an example of. You have to set an example. Okay, if they can fire Byron, then that means they could bench me or fire this guy or this other guy, and everybody. And you got to do something. You've got to make a change, and nothing's changed. There's no incentive to get better. There's no incentive to try. You can see Mike Evans. What a massive pussy. All right, my God. I used to say the biggest wuss of elite wide receivers in the league was Michael Thomas, and now I have to say that Mike Evans is probably taken that award. So watching him quit on plays is just downright infuriating. All he is worried about is his numbers. He got his numbers. He passed it. He hit his incentives, and then he didn't give a shit anymore. I think he's pretty much given up on the season unless somebody or something gets through to him. I'm not surprised by what was posted just now about Tom and him not working one-on-one together. Brady's wide receivers from the Patriots used to follow him. They'd go different places. Julian, Danny Amendola, Gronk, and them. They'd all meet up privately, get together. Deion Branch used to meet up with Tom. The thing about Mike Evans is that he was a superstar before Tom got there. Mike Evans has the Larry Fitzgerald syndrome. Okay, and I call it the Larry Fitzgerald syndrome because when Larry was with the Cardinals, I got to see a lot of weird stuff about Larry's personality, about who he is and how everybody else viewed Larry and his teammates. And Larry was a very selfish person, extremely. Okay. He was all about his contract. He was all about his endorsements. He was all about making sure he doesn't, get injured. The team really wasn't something that mattered to him unless it was going really well. So if it was going really, really well, then Larry would be like, oh, okay, I think I'm going to be happy about this. Even just a quick example with Larry, when they were shopping for Peyton Manning, he didn't even bother to even try to talk and get Peyton excited there. And that just shows the character. Whether Peyton was going to sign with them or not is irrelevant. The point is that he didn't even try, and that kind of shows you. He always wanted to be the man there. When Kurt Warner got to the Cardinals, Larry told Kurt that I'm good enough. I'm good enough. And Kurt's like, don't you want to be better? You can be better. I'm good enough. That was the kind of mentality that he had. And he wanted to be the man. So I call it the Larry Fitzgerald syndrome. It's get my numbers, get my endorsements, get my contract incentives. And if I win, that's cool. That's fun. It's exciting. I hope so. I mean, you can see how passionate Larry was during their 2008 run. But that was not indicative of him as a person. That was an in-the-moment thing. Great player, by the way. But still, mentality is important. Mike Evans has got this problem. He is Mr. I want to be the man. He was the man. He's been the face of the Bucs for how long? And he wants to be that guy. And that's all that really matters to him at this point. And now he's got a ring. So he's like, okay, I'm good. There's no passion with this team. There is no let's get it. Let's go out there and get it. There's, Chris Godwin is really the only guy who is seems like he's going to war out there, and he's hurt almost all the time, depending on what levels of hurt he is. But he still tries. I've never thought Chris Godwin, not that I can remember seeing him not care or not try. But this team as a whole seems like they've given up, honestly. And it's a shame, because the potential they've got. I mean, and you know what? they've still got a chance at the playoffs, of course, because of the division they're in. You can always get hot at the right time. There's a chance that this Bucs team actually might make the playoffs and win the division with a losing record, and that is probably the most disgusting about all this. But if it were up to me, I don't think you should be allowed into the playoffs with a losing record. But that is not the rules. So if they can get hot at the right time, you never know. Anything could happen. But right now, I don't see it. The coaching is horrendous. It's completely abysmal. And I don't mean this as a hyperbole. I really, really wonder what the hell's wrong with Todd Bowles. I don't get it. I don't understand what he's doing or what he's thinking. Even his excuses and his reasoning is bad. So let me get the super chat, and then I'm going to show you guys a few things regarding that. Alpha Courage is a $5 super chat. He says, could Minnesota's Jefferson be the second coming of Randy Moss? My God, man. I don't want to say that. That's it's massive to say, but he is extraordinary. And I'll tell you what, here's a connection to Moss. When Moss was a rookie, just from the very outset when he got started with Minnesota in 98, I watched Vikings games every week because of him. And that is what he's got in common with Randy Moss. So, but that would be awesome if we're looking at a guy like that. That would be crazy. but he definitely is doing some crazy stuff, and he's definitely got me watching every week. I know that. And that's saying something because, the Vikings aren't a team that a lot of people tune in to watch. And when you got someone like that, that's awesome. And, the Vikings still have great players on that team. He is amazing, but, you got Adam Thielen out there too. The Vikings can really make something happen if they just stay focused, stay mentally tough. That's you guys know this. Everything is about mentality when it comes to this, especially in the playoffs. Phil Williamson, you think that Bruce watched us and said, you know what? I'm gonna show you how bad it can get. Yeah. For those of you just listening, I'm just catching up on the comments real quick. I haven't went anywhere. Kevin mentions Anquan Bolden. Anquan Bolden was, in my opinion, an all-around better player for several years. And I say that in a way, it's like this, okay? There's a lot of times where you can take a player and say, look at his numbers and look how good he is. And then you can take another player. Maybe his numbers aren't quite as gaudy, although at times Anquan Bolden's were too. But Anquan wasn't a household name the way Larry was. But Anquan was, man, he was just so clutch, such a hard worker, so tough, reliable. When he was out there, he'd get 100%. He was all about the team. Great guy, really good dude. Unselfish. Him and Larry were completely different people. It makes me think of guys like James White or Julian Edelman. Although, I'm saying in a way that, okay, Julian Edelman, wide receiver, slot wide receiver, and people would put him up against famous, gaudy wide receivers of his position and say, no, he's not this, and that. But who would you take in a Super Bowl when the money is on the line? Okay? Or how many running backs right now would you put aside in order to take in James White just for one game, for one Super Bowl, for one clutch moment? How many times have we seen James White do that, right? So it just depends. It depends on what you're looking for. It depends on what you like, right? And I was always a fan of Anquan Bolden more than I was of Larry, and I always thought that. But again, as far as long-term career, body of work, Larry, of course, is going to be a Hall of Famer. But Anquan got the ring. He went to the Ravens, and he is a major reason why the Baltimore Ravens got a ring. He's one of the most important. And I was pissed because I wanted the Patriots to sign Anquan when he was available. I was like, why in the world are we not getting this dude? So, yeah. John Thomas Chavez sends a $5 super chat. He says, after New England traded Collins in 2016, they got significantly better, and the team knew they had to play better as they knew their job security wasn't guaranteed. And that's a really good point, John. Sometimes when you set an example and you use somebody as the one to take the fall, and there's always somebody that is worse than everyone else or doing something. And in Colin's case, he was going rogue. He was going off the reservation. He was not playing within the confines of how Bill likes things done. He was not playing, as we know with Bill Belichick, every guy out there, it's a machine. Every part is working in unison. And Collins was more of a I will do whatever I want to do on my own kind of guy. And Patriots weren't playing all that well as far as what they were capable of, in my opinion, on defense. But that something had to be done. So, and in the Bucs case, it's got to be done now. So it's got to be done, and it's Byron Leftwich. And you're not going to. You might even want to bench a few guys that you think are. We could go into who that would be and why. I think there are some guys on the offense of the Bucs that may want it more than other guys. And if you give them a chance, they might just play harder and they might just do some things that you didn't expect them to do and find out what happens. But they're not going to do that. The Bucs are not they're not that type of organization, and they're not they're not led this way. They are. God, it's just. They're lost. It's over. It can't be. It can't be salvaged as long as they've got this mentality. If they don't change anything, and you notice that Todd Bowles, in his reaction in the post game and his statements the next day on Monday, shows that he has absolutely no idea that he's the problem and that Byron's the problem and that the coaching is a big problem. Yes, we can go over players, player to player, but with a roster like this, and you suck this atrociously bad, when you suck like this, that is coaching, honestly. Milena Mojali, Coca-Cola, Moya? Blogodaria no-go. Tyler, I know. It had to be done on the bye week. That's what we were all saying. It had to be done. If it's not done this week, what is it going to be? And it didn't get done. Nothing changed. Not a damn thing. They got actually worse. How do you get worse? Thank you so much. How do you get worse after a bye week? It's just maddening, really. Greatest sound in the world you're ever going to hear right here. Oh, yeah. This is the good shit right there. Okay. Just 1 second. All right. Yeah, John, that's a great super chat there. That's a very good point. Hey, VonAllen, you used to seem somewhat pretentious when I first started listening last couple of years because you're a Miami fan, but now I appreciate your even-keeled, non-biased, introspective takes. Kudos, bro. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it, man. You have a good team to root for right now. A lot of your fan base is not very happy with me. I say a lot of your fan base, at least the ones on Twitter, are not very happy with me right now. And they act like that I completely insulted Tua, and I did not. Absolutely did not. In fact, I'm trying to protect them as far as these crazy expectations. And what they're doing to Tua is they're doing what they did to Patrick, what the Chiefs fans did to Patrick a few years ago, which is let's turn him into a god overnight. And then when he falls short of those expectations, everyone's going to crap all over him. And that's usually what happens because guys cannot keep up with expectations like that every week all the time. They need to just be who they are, and that's it. When I was younger, we never did this stuff. There wasn't even talk about GOAT like the greatest of all time. Like that never came up. When I was younger, there was quarterbacks you liked, and there were just a bunch of great quarterbacks. Did you like Montana? Did you like Marino? Did you like Elway? Did you like Moon or Kelly? It's just, that's the way it was. There really was no wondering who's better than who's greater than who. And that just didn't happen that often. And now every single time a player comes up, he's the next whatever. I remember Peyton Manning coming out and with the Colts, and he started out badly in his first year. It was really awful. And God, I remember that year so well. That was my senior year in high school. And they just destroyed him. And you know what? I thought it was, I liked it. I liked it because all through high school, all we ever heard about was Peyton Manning, okay? I grew up in Arkansas, so Peyton was well known throughout the area. So he was in Louisiana. He went to university at Tennessee. All the states are right together. So, we all knew who Peyton Manning was before he was even in college, pretty much. So all that hype and all that crap, and then watched him struggle. And then he got hot, and then he started playing really well, and things started getting better once they got, a change in coaching. But things started to really get more consistent, and then they had those battles with the Patriots. And then it was, is Peyton Manning greater than Dan Marino? And I was like, what? So, because he passed Dan Marino's record in 2004, all of a sudden you think that he's greater than Dan Marino? At this point, I want you to think about this. At this point, that was Peyton's 6th season, and he threw for 49 touchdowns, passing Dan Marino's record from 1984 of 48 touchdowns. 6th season, and they were saying he's greater than Dan Marino. Dude hadn't even been to a Super Bowl yet. Constantly was bitch slapped by his rival and a guy who wasn't his pedigree, Tom Brady, who just owned his ass. Okay? So it's very strange that everyone thinks that this guy is better than Dan Marino. I took offense to it. I remember watching his record-breaking game with my brother Jason was there with me, and he even was like, why is everyone saying that this guy's better than Dan Marino? Does this make, just because he's breaking the record? Dan Marino did that 20 years prior. Okay, that's the problem I have. And you got to give him time. You got to give him a chance. And you start making these comparisons, and it's going to piss a lot of people off. Okay. And I get it. I know that Dolphins fans have suffered a long time. Okay. I know. They've been a division rival for a long time. Well, you know what? The Dolphins have pissed me off plenty of times. Pissed me off plenty of times because every time the New England Patriots want to go down to Miami and they want to get a supposed easy win, because of the easy division that Tom Brady's in all those years, Miami Dolphins always found a way to screw it up for us. Miami always found a way to win down there for some reason or another. And you can go back in history and look at every season. It's just always something happens. But for the most part, that was really what they were. Is they would have moments sometimes where they would make the playoffs and things like that, like in 2008 when Brady was hurt. But for the most part, you guys have been looking, Eric, I'm talking to you, Eric. I almost called you Chris because your last name's Cooley, and I saw Cooley and I thought Chris Cooley. That's funny. But maybe you're related to him. Anyway, Eric. So for the most part, you've been trying to find that guy. You've been trying to find that guy to replace Dan. And replacing a Hall of Famer like that is, you can't really replace a Hall of Famer. You can only hope to just get a guy who can carry your team and be a franchise quarterback. And that's what you're looking for. So I get it. I get how excited everyone is. But let's not do the Patrick Mahomes thing yet. And that's kind of what I got into here. So I'm going to show you guys what this was all about real quick. It's perfect timing because since Eric mentioned it. that he's a Dolphins fan. So let's go here. Okay. Let's see if I can zoom this in. Now, keep in mind that when I did this, I don't even have a problem with Tua. I don't at all. I mean, he's a kid. He came from Alabama. My sister's favorite college team is the Crimson Tide. Nick Saban, great coach like Nick Saban. I have absolutely nothing against Tua. Why would I? That doesn't make any sense, right? Seems like a nice guy. Has a pretty good game, playing great this year. Okay, what's not to like, right? What's not to like about this? Here's the problem. Is that big enough for you guys? Okay, hopefully. So CBS Sports posts this. Look, they're showing him coming through the smoke, right? Through 30 career starts, because Tua has now 30 career starts. Tua has more passing yards than Tom Brady. Fewer interceptions than Aaron Rodgers. Wow. More passing touchdowns than Joe Montana. It's impressive. Higher completion percentage than the great Kurt Warner, who we all know is extremely accurate with the football. You know who else has got a great completion percentage? Funnily enough, a former Dolphins quarterback, Chad Pennington, who was quarterback for the Jets and then the Dolphins. I actually like Chad Pennington quite a bit. Thought he was a cool dude. Wished he had a little more success than he did. But the Jets media, the New York media, completely ruined that guy, I think. They tried to destroy him anyway. He was also, Chad Pennington was also part of the Brady draft in 2000. He was the first quarterback selected in that draft, actually. Okay, but anyway, back to this. So stuff like this bothers me, okay? And it's not because of him. It has nothing to do with that. This is an indicator of a problem in the media. This is not some fan. If a fan wrote this, I wouldn't even have messed with it. But this is by CBS Sports. Okay, CBS Sports wrote this, and it's clearly clickbait. There is zero context to this at all. But what it implies, what they're trying to imply, especially to young fans, is that this means that Tua is on a trajectory that is as good as these guys. Okay? Things like this is how they manipulate regular news. When you watch the regular news and see things, how they omit things or line up things, they can destroy someone's reputation by putting their name with something else of some person that's really hated and evil, and then that person's labeled just because they put it like that. Now, it's an extreme case, but I'm just giving you an example of how this is a typical media manipulation is what they do. So, but this is the sports version of that, all right, in this way. So now what could they have done to honor Tua? Okay, easy. You could have looked at per stats against his peers or other young quarterbacks who are playing well right now, because he's having a good year. There's all kinds of things to look at, Or you could put a caveat at the bottom and say, and put in and contextualize it in some way. But no, that's all that's there. So, of course, let's see here. Where did I write? I wrote something to these. Oh yeah, here we go. So I replied, excuse me guys, I told you I've got the China virus, so bear with me here. Coke is the cure-all. I promise. All right. So I wrote, You have to love out of context clickbait designed to say something without actually saying it. They had to find a list of great quarterbacks that fit each stat. And I wrote, I could do this with any quarterback. Seriously. And this gentleman, Dr. Draft, was pretty cool. You know, he's like, I don't know about any quarterback, but they're cherry picked for sure. Now, this guy's a Dolphins fan, of course, but he was not a douche, okay? Although a lot of them were. Of course, I wrote, hang on. Absolutely any quarterback I can do it with. And I meant that when I said that. I was not lying. Because no matter what quarterback you mention, I can find a comparison for some Hall of Famer or great quarterback. I can change the amount of starts to my liking. And then bam, I have some impressive stat comparisons. And he says, I don't know about any quarterback, but I get your point. He says, but are you also denying Tua has had a phenomenal season? And of course, I said any quarterback. I meant that. And he said, of course, I said, of course he is. He's having a terrific season. I just don't like the comparisons, blah, blah, blah. Mentioned Carson Wentz, how, you know, it all came crashing down. He agreed. Okay. But then that guy was cool. But we started getting a bunch of weird, pissed off, angry replies and things like that. So it's basically challenges, things like that. There was a guy, let's see here. Apology. The way Twitter is done, it's very hard to follow the timelines sometimes. Okay, so this guy, Raphael, but those names are of top-tier quarterbacks. The experts told me that Tua sucked. Those things don't make him an average quarterback. Those things do not tell you if he is an average quarterback or not. It doesn't tell you anything, actually. It tells you absolutely nothing. The only thing it tells you is that thing about Tua, and they're doing a disservice to Tua because there are a lot of stats that I could put together about Tua and show how good he's playing. Okay? They actually screwed him over. Because now it leaves them to scrutiny. Because the moment you put a Hall of Famer's name next to another guy, that lesser guy, that new guy, is going to be looked over. So instead of looking at and appreciating for his how well he's playing and all that, we now are looking at things like this, where I wouldn't have been doing that had they just posted some, cool relevant stats. But no, he said those things don't make him an average quarterback. All it tells you is that Tua played 30 starts in the NFL. That's all it tells you. It does not tell you if he was any good. It does not tell you if he was bad. It just tells you that he's played. The only stat in that posting that was relevant is that it said in 30 career starts. Absolutely. That is the statistic. 30 starts. That's all we know, is that he has started in 30 games. And I didn't think much of this. And then, so several people started, talking shit, like, then do it. Start with Dak Prescott. You literally said any. I said, name the quarterback. Who do you want me to work on? I can't just name 1,000 million quarterbacks that's had 30 starts or whatever. It just got really ridiculous. But some guy said I was a liar. Another guy said that I'm a fraud. And all this just for, okay, whatever, right? And another guy said, do it. But again, they don't seem to understand what I was saying. So after a while, I started taking it upon myself to show them. So the first guy, what he said was Dak Prescott, and then after that, do Jimmy G. So I did. Of course, since they posted a picture of Tua going, You know, like, oh yeah, I'm the man. Okay. Dak Prescott, here we go. See, we can do it too. First 30 starts, Dak Prescott has more passing yards than. Now, keep in mind, they only used one Hall of Famer each. I used a lot, okay? More passing yards than Brady, Favre, Breeze, etc. The reason I had to put etc. is because there are about 6 others. Okay, so I ran out of character room. I'm using their exact stat line, okay? Their exact, everything's the same. 30 starts and all the criteria here. I even added one just for good measure. Fewer interceptions than Rodgers, Montana, Young, etc. More passing touchdowns than Elway, Breeze, Montana. Higher completion percentage than Rodgers, Brady, Peyton, etc. Better win percentage than Elway, Favre, Aikman, etc. Put Dak in the Hall of Fame, baby. Boom! Done. Dak's a good quarterback, too. The other guy said, do Jimmy G. Okay. Jimmy G. First 30 starts, Jimmy Garoppolo has more passing yards than Peyton Manning, Montana, Brady, etc. Again. Fewer interceptions than Joe Montana, Steve Young, and Drew Brees, etc. More passing touchdowns than Brady, Montana, Favre, etc. Higher completion percentage than Warner. Again, wow. Warner, Rodgers, Montana, etc. Better win percentage than Tom Brady. Wow. And Brady won a Super Bowl. Better win percentage than Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, etc. Again, character. So those are the 2 he listed. I took it upon myself to find some even lesser quarterbacks. Brian motherfucking Hoyer. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. I went to Brian Hoyer, clipboard torque himself. The greatest clipboard holder in the history of the NFL, right there in the flesh. CCBS News, we can do it too. First 30 starts for Brian Hoyer. He has more passing yards than Tom Brady. Holy shit. How is this possible? How is this possible? Brady, Favre, Breeze, etc. Fewer interceptions than Joe Montana, Kurt Warner, Peyton, blah, blah, blah. More passing touchdowns than Favre, Aikman, Elway, blah, blah, blah. Higher completion percentage than Peyton, Aikman, Elway, blah, blah, blah. Higher winning percentage than Aaron Rodgers. Holy shit. Drew Brees, Steve Young, and etc. because there were more. That's it. Brian Hoyer is the GOAT. He is the GOAT. It's done. Slam dunk. Boom. Want some more? Who else we got here? I think we have a... Mitchell Trubisky. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Mitchell, the GOAT, Trubisky. That's right. The Bears didn't want him because he was just too damn good. They couldn't handle his greatness. They couldn't handle his goatness. Okay? So the Bears, he was just too good for the Bears. So the Steelers took him and made him their backup. All right. The Steelers are a team that doesn't have a quarterback, and Mitchell can't even start on it. Do I have to read all these again? It's the same shit, okay? More passing yards than Breeze, Elway, Aikman, Young, blah, blah, blah. Less interceptions, Montana, Brady, Warner, blah, blah, blah. More passing touchdowns, Breeze, Aikman, Young. Completion percentage better than Favre, Peyton, etc. Better win percentage than Rodgers, Montana, etc. Okay. This is just bad. All right? This is bad. What the fuck is all this? Oh, sorry. Where's this guy at? And there's some people that are just not very polite, you know? So this guy here, the Naked Isaiah, under my Jimmy G one, he said Jimmy G had about 4,000 yards his first 30 games. Peyton Manning had 7,000 plus. I knew you were a fraud. The person laughing in the background is Milena, actually. Well, this is just how stupid things can get, okay? So this guy said I was a fraud. Damn, that's pretty harsh. I don't even know him. 7 people like that. 7 people agreed with that. I had to correct them. I said 30 starts, my friend. Read CBS's stat again. It starts, not games. Jimmy G does indeed have more passing yards than Peyton Manning in both of their first 30 starts. Jimmy G is GOAT too, just like Tua, right? He further argued, interesting, don't think so. He started 2 games in 2016 for the Patriots. Well, that is true. He got that one right. Then 6 plus 3 plus 16 with San Francisco. Then his first 3 games in 2020. That's blah, 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 Peyton Manning, blah, 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 blah. Closer than I thought, but tried to do it in my head the first time. Wrong. Actually, Jimmy G only had 5 starts in his San Francisco debut. And that's when I had to write, Jimmy started 5 games his first year in San Francisco. I'm going to guess either you miscalculated each start or included a playoff game at some point for either Jimmy or Peyton. Jimmy G has 7,469 yards. Peyton has 7,435 yards. Jimmy Garoppolo is greater than Peyton Manning. We all knew it. There you go. It's a done deal. It all makes sense. It's the math is there. It's, you know. I think at some point he realized he was wrong because he said, let's see though, Jimmy G did it in 7 years after 2 years as a backup. Tua did it in two and 2.3 years. I think Tua's stats are more significant in determining potential future success because they're significantly closer to his entry into the NFL. Okay. Now, the problem with this is that I only posted Jimmy G because someone asked me to. Someone mentioned it. He wouldn't even been one of the first ones I'd gone to. Asking me to do Jimmy G and Dak Prescott was too easy. I told Milena this. It's like, this is too easy. Why aren't they naming? I need them to name a shitty quarterback. I need somebody that's just really bad. Okay? And finally someone obliged me. That same guy, and actually another guy, so. Yeah, the same guy, but also this guy, but I don't think he was being a dick. But he said, and since you can do it with any quarterback, please do Zach Wilson. He was drafted higher than Tua. And that's when I looked at Milena and I said, finally, a challenge. A challenge. This is good. Zach Wilson, surely Zach Wilson, the guy who was just benched for sucking too badly, a guy who was just benched on a winning team for sucking so badly, surely he can't be that bad. But I told him, since, Zach only has 20 starts, he doesn't have 30, so we'll have to limit this to the first 20 starts of a career. Ready for this? I think the hardest part of my job here was finding photographs of all these idiot quarterbacks going like this. All right? Zach Wilson, baby. Zach Wilson. First 20 starts, Zach Wilson has more passing yards than John Elway, Steve Young, and Troy Aikman. Fewer interceptions than Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Kurt Warner, etc. There's 4 more. More passing touchdowns than Steve Young. Oh my God. Higher completion percentage than Elway, Young, and Aikman. Higher win percentage than Young, Peyton, and Aikman. Zach Wilson, you are a Hall of Famer, my friend. You are the man. Okay. So, that was my experience on Twitter. And what was an off-the-cuff comment about saying, I could literally do that with any quarterback. I never expected anybody to actually, I never expect anybody to actually say that, go ahead and do it, because I thought it would be obvious that those were cherry-picked and you could just do this with anybody. But, what do you like? First 6 starts, first 13 starts. Find a player that you want to make look good, name the shittiest quarterback in the world. I will find a stat where they are better than a Hall of Famer. Okay? And by the way, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I never went earlier than Joe Montana. And the reason I didn't do that is because CBS, I stayed within the confines of CBS's posting, which was they didn't have an older quarterback than Joe Montana. If I didn't do that, if I acted like CBS and just made up my own shit, I could have gone to the 1940s. Okay? Where they throw 3 passes a game. And it's done by a halfback or a running back, not an actual quarterback. I could have done that too. So, hey, but still. So I stayed within Montana up until now. And of course, the guys who are still playing, if we know they're going to the Hall of Fame, like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. So, but this may seem like nitpicking, but it's not. And the reason is because this was an example of the problem with the media and all this crap. So not only did you completely just make yourself look stupid by posting that with those names, those Hall of Fame quarterbacks, but you did a disservice to Tua. So you didn't actually give him his real props and create a cool stat, a good stat that he deserves and that's actually relevant to what's happening in the situation. So, and again, this stuff bothers me because I see it in the political arena and just regular news in general. And they do this. This is just football, so it's harmless. But in reality, with real stuff, this is how they get people pissed off. This is how they create riots. It's how they get people angry. They post an isolated incident and post it a certain way and say this matches some random stat without any context. And then a bunch of people get all pissed off and then they go riot and burn down someone's building. Okay? That's what they do. This is just the football innocent version, but it's the same mentality. They don't care about what they're posting just as long as it gets clicks. So it got people arguing. It got me posting onto it, and that's what they want. They want the interaction. But as far as being taken seriously as a news organization, they don't care about that. Now, why would CBS need to post clickbait? I just don't understand why. They're CBS. They're already established. There's no reason to do that. But they do, and that's how they act. And I can understand that, people trying to make a name for themselves or whatever, but I don't expect that. I pick on the big guys because they're the ones that should be setting the standard for journalism and good reporting, and they don't. They're the worst. They're some of the worst. So it's just amazing. But yeah, I think the Dolphins are an interesting team. I'm not completely sold on them this year. I think they might be a team that is a year out, maybe 2 years out. We'll see. But I just don't see them surviving against a team like the Chiefs or the Bills in a playoff game. I just don't think they're ready yet. They're just too new. They're right there on their beginnings. They're where Buffalo was a few years ago, and I think that's the deal. So. But yeah, I like what I see. Other than the organization, the way they handled Tua's injury was a bit weird. But also, that's what you get for running around too. You got to start learning to throw from the pocket if you're gonna survive. If you don't want a million concussions, so That's another thing I would point out there. Tim Tebow does have more playoff wins than Tua. Yeah, it's absolutely true. That is true. Tim Tebow beat Ben Roethlisberger in a playoff game. Tim Tebow is better than Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, in that game. Did you get that super chat by John Thomas Chavez?
Probably not, because I was in screen mode. I'm just glad that Eric. I think I might have called him Chris again. Eric, I'm glad he doesn't think I'm pretentious anymore. And we love having fans here from other teams, especially rivals teams. I love that. It makes things interesting. So. Was I a Dolphins fan? No. No, but we all would have been rooting for the Dolphins had that thing gone through with Tom Brady and Sean Payton. So, do you think that I'm going to give a flying shit about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers the moment Tom Brady leaves that team? In fact, I hope they suck. So, yeah, I mean, Tom Brady is the only reason why Tampa Bay even matters. And I think they're feeling themselves right now, and they think, oh, I'm the man too. I'm the man. No, you're not. No, you're not. You got the GOAT. Okay? That's it. But speaking of the Dolphins, one thing that's interesting is I think that their head coach looks like a serial killer. He does, seriously. So on Sunday when they're playing the 49ers, every time they show the coach, watch him and think, could this guy go on a multiple state killing spree? Just think about it, okay? And he always has interesting answers to things that are kind of head scratching. So, who would win in a UFC fight, Tua or Kyler Murray? Tua. Tua would kill football baby. Mark Sanchez does have more. Mark Sanchez has a playoff win against Tom Brady, by the way, and Peyton Manning. That yes, Milena. That means that Mr. Butt Fumble himself is better than both. Gina. Why aren't there more left-handed quarterbacks? I don't know. I think in general, I think it's a population thing. I think there's more right-handers than left-handers, so it's probably just a something to that effect, I guess. Yes, Eva Courage. Tua does have less MVPs than Kurt. But again, see, it comes across as we're making fun of Tua, and I'm not making fun of Tua at all. I'm making fun of the post. It's actually, it's not Tua's fault that the post is so stupid. If I were him and I saw a post like that, I'd be like, ooh, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Please do not do that. Don't put my name there with those guys. That's just, yeah, I don't want that. I don't want that coming at me, you know? So, if the 49ers win, if the Dolphins beat the 49ers, they're legit. Okay, they are legit, and you can, Tua plays. Let's say Tua has a great game, and the Dolphins get a victory there. That is legit. And then I will say, wait a minute, let's take notice here, okay? Because that's going to be that right there is something that they can be proud of. Yeah, I missed one, didn't I? Okay, and coming up, guys, we're going to be going to show you the results of the tournament for this week. John Thomas Chavez, since a $5 super chat, he says 2019 wasn't even over when the media was questioning if Lamar Jackson was the GOAT of running quarterbacks over the likes of Newton, Steve Young, and Michael Vick. Yeah, absolutely, and I remember that very well, and I'm pretty sure we even talked about that on the show a few times. It's true. Just let these guys be them. Let them be what they are. And if you're going to make dumb comparisons like this, at least make it to the peers, to their peers, and who's playing right now. That would at least be more into the zone of what you would want, and be a bit more relevant. So, I mean, we're talking about stats that change with the evolution of the game here. So, it's just all different. Troy Aikman's first year was a disaster. Peyton's first year was a disaster. He set the record for interceptions. You know, it's like if you go by the beginning, you know, that's pretty scary. And so let Tua be his own guy. Let him do it, you know. Let Patrick be his own guy. Let Mahomes be his own guy, you know. And and then see where the chips fall later. Let's wait. Let's let them do their thing, you know? Yeah, there was some cool Dolphins fans, and some of them didn't appreciate what I was doing. They thought I was aiming it at Tua. It had nothing to do with Tua. It could just as easily have been anyone else that they posted. So, all right. Gord King says Jeff Saturday admitted that he should have taken a timeout last night. He's better at accountability than Todd Bowles. So that's for damn sure. Chris Sims is the GOAT, actually. You guys are all wrong. Okay. So, Todd Bowles said at the end of that game against Cleveland, the end of regulation, I should say, he was playing for overtime and didn't think that they had enough time and didn't want to have an interception. Didn't want to have an interception. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see if I can get... Let's start with this one. Rick Stroud reports Todd Bowles didn't want to risk an interception at the end of regulation on Sunday, even though Tom Brady has 420 pass attempts and only 2 interceptions. A .04 interception percentage. That is insane. After a screen gained a yard, he didn't call a timeout. Then Brady hit Julio Jones for 26 yards. By that time, there were only 8 seconds left. Here's what really happened. What really happened that he was not aware of the situation. He got lost. He got confused about the situation. Maybe he didn't remember how many timeouts they had. Maybe he misjudged the clock. I don't know, okay? It happens. It does. It happens to people. It happens all the time. All you have to do is say, I don't know, I messed up. Just, you don't even have to explain that you misunderstood. Just say, I messed up and I regret doing that. I wish I wouldn't have. I should have given the GOAT a chance to go down. Okay? All he had to do was say that and he could fix it. Right? Just like that. So, no problem. What does he do? He doubles down. Warren Sharp posted this. This is excellent. He says, imagine having 3 timeouts but not using one on a potential game-winning drive because you were worried that Tom Brady might throw an interception. He says, Tom Brady hasn't thrown a single interception in the fourth quarter or overtime of a tied game in over a decade. Now, that's pretty awesome. Let's look at this. Jordan Moore says, Tom Brady has 71 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in the red zone since joining the Bucs in 2020. Do people realize how insane that is? Do you don't think that Tom Brady could have gotten the Bucs into the red zone? He didn't even need to. Okay? All he needed was field goal. But still, that's a pretty badass stat right there. That's just in general, but I thought it looked nice. Look what Todd Bowles managed to do. Tom Brady up by 7 points or more in the final 2 minutes of regulation. Entering Sunday, 218-0. After Sunday, 0-1. How shitty of a coach do you have to be to break that streak right there? I got more. By a guy called Spurs Legacy #1 Kansas City Chiefs fan. Says, Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich pretty much made a loud statement today that they didn't trust Tom Brady to get a 4th and 2, okay, in the opponent's territory or to get into field goal range with 32 seconds and 3 timeouts. It cost them a win, and Tristan Wirfs. Don't forget Tristan got injured in overtime. Both should be fired. So basically, Todd Bowles was worried that a 45-year-old Tom Brady with 2 interceptions on the season in his 22nd year as a starter was going to throw a pick. But Bill Belichick, in his first Super Bowl as a head coach, gave Tom Brady, a first-year starter, second-year player, in his first Super Bowl, the keys to the car. This is Michael Pierre. Absolutely disgusting. And what makes this so bad is that Todd Bowles doubled down the next day and then said some bullshit about not wanting to throw an interception. So 2 games ago, Tom Brady was able to do it with no timeouts. And he needed a touchdown, not a field goal. This time, Tom Brady had 3 timeouts, and all he needed was a field goal. So he didn't have to get to the end zone, just to get in field goal range, and that's it. This might be, considering the situation and considering what, who you had and everything, this might be one of the dumbest coaching decisions we've ever seen. Again, when you weigh it to who you've got, and cowardice, massive cowardice. Now, another thing I'd like to talk about. Why aren't they running no huddle more often? So, of course, like usual, like you guys, I was yelling at the screen saying, go no huddle. Just do it. No huddle basically cuts Byron Leftwich out. So how come every single time, wait, this wouldn't be appropriate unless we have this. Okay. So why every single time they go no huddle, they start moving the ball? And then this stat pops up on the game. Perfect timing. No huddle plays this season. 113 plays, yards, 672, touchdowns, 5. All top 5 in the NFL. So there's something there, at least. There's something to work with, something to go off of. It's not everything. You don't want to go no huddle the whole game. What you would tend to want to do is go no. If I was the coach, I would go no huddle early, get some points on the board, and then kind of transition to a ball control game. You want to give your offensive linemen a break, but you also don't want your defense out there for a lot. You want to give them time. So when your offense has got the ball, your defense can rest. So you pull it back down. You come out of the half once you're rested, and you do it again. Okay, you go no huddle. You keep doing that. Try to get some points on the board. Now you can't sustain that forever, because there's a lot of drawbacks to that. But you've got to do it more often. You have to, and I think that's the only way to really stop this is to cut out Byron. And they're not going to fire this idiot. They don't have the guts. So that's really the only thing that's going to fix this is Tom going no huddle and basically cutting Byron out of the decision making. So if this isn't done, this thing's over. So there's no other way to get around it. Yeah, it's just, what a waste, man. So two things that we, you know what, Byron, I'm not even sure if he could work at McDonald's and run the drive-through correctly. I don't know. He might screw it up. You order a Big Mac meal and you get there and you're probably handed a salad or something. You're like, wait, what happened here? So he'd give you something that boring because that's how his offensive calls are, is boring, boring, boring. But two things we learned from Sunday. One, Aaron Rodgers will not be in a Green Bay Packers uniform after this season. You can book it, guarantee it. I don't care what you want to do. It's a done deal. The second thing we learned, well, I kind of knew this anyway, but what this season's been guaranteeing here, and it's pretty much done deal now. Well, no, and as far as I'm concerned, it's a done deal. There's something good behind the Bucs sucking, guys. And I know that's kind of hard to believe, but there is. The good thing about the Bucs sucking is this. Tom Brady is going nowhere. He'll be back next year. with a different team, of course. There's no way he's going to stay with this dumpster fire of an organization now. When he got there, they were the worst organization in sports, in all the 4 major sports when it comes to winning percentage, and there's a reason why. And they're going to go right back to that dumpster fire again, and it can't be fixed. If they're not going to change their philosophy, if they're not going to look at themselves and realize that they screwed up, if they're not going to do that, it can't be fixed. Nothing's going to change. So Tom will not be a Buccaneer this year. We already knew that, but Tom is not leaving. So you can take that to the bank. You can do whatever you want. Quote me, take a picture, record it, whatever you want to do. Tom Brady will play next season. So this thing is not over. Quest for 8 is not over. So I for some reason I ended up in the dark holes of YouTube and found a comment from years ago by a guy named Jamari Honcho. He asked me, this is 3 years ago, asked me, how many Super Bowl rings do you think Tom Brady will retire with? And be realistic. I said 7. I said 7 3 years ago. Of course, this is while he was still playing for the Patriots. So I found this comment recently and I wrote, wow, it's been 3 years. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's 8. Well, we're going to get that 8, hopefully, and it will be with a new team. So Tom can get away from this. And guys, you know what? Just to tell you, he may be at peace with this. He may be of the mind that, you know what? I've got to get out of Tampa Bay. I've got to reset. I need a change. That's where his marriage kind of that's where that's the scene of the crime where everything fell apart for him. So he may just want to just move on from that, not just for the team things that we're talking about, but just for personally. And he may be just mentally ready to go and at peace with that. Not at peace with losing. That's not what I'm saying, but just ready to move on. So anything can happen. You get into the playoffs, you can make a run, but there's some issues in the scheduling that's, I don't know, it's not good. So I went to Playoff Predictor website. This guy who does really good bracketing for playoffs and things like that. Kind of like that playoff machine that ESPN has. But realistically, I have the Bucs finishing at 9-8, and that is only if they can beat the teams that they're supposed to beat. And we've seen them lose to the Steelers, we've seen them lose to the Panthers, and we've seen them lose to the Browns. And I just don't know anymore. So let's go. Pull up the Buccaneers schedule. Buccaneers. Come on. All right. What the hell? Sometimes the NFL website just is really slow and stupid. Okay, so the next game is the Saints. That's Monday Night Football coming up. That might be a difficult game for them. So we saw what happened in the Saints. That's just not a good matchup for them. This could go either way, honestly. It really could. But let's just say that they can get the win there. Let's just say they can get the win. Week 14 is San Francisco. Loss. Week 15, Bengals. Loss. At Arizona Cardinals, they can win that one. Carolina Panthers, they've already lost to Carolina once this year. But I say they probably win that one. And week 18, the Falcons, they really need to win that one. Or they're in deep shit. So, I know it's pathetic, right? But unless something changes, they're in a lot of trouble. Elva Courage, since the $2 super chat, says, don't forget to do the tournament results. That's actually what I'm about to do right now. Israel, since the $2 super chat, and says, where do you predict Rodgers and Brady end up next year? Originally, I thought it might be the Raiders because of Josh McDaniels. I mean, Raiders as far as Tom's concerned. But I know that Sean Payton wants to work with Brady. A lot of people are talking about Sean Payton going to the Cardinals. But you'd be stuck with Kyler Murray, football baby. His contract, is it tradable? Is there anyone willing to take that on? Doubtful. I can't believe the Cardinals gave that to him. They're complete morons. But so they're kind of stuck with that. Sean Payton maybe coming back to the Saints and then bringing on Tom Brady there. So for Tom, I'd say Saints or Raiders is probably the best scenario. And for Aaron Rodgers, I'd have to think about it. I'd have to think about who's the best fit. So I'll get back to you on that one, okay? As far as Aaron goes. But I'm not convinced that this 49ers, this Saints game is going to be an easy game or automatic win. I don't buy that at all. The way the Bucs are playing, I would not trust them against anybody, any team at all. There is no team that you can say, oh, wow, they're going to win this game. Okay? So it's, Yeah, Gord King, you're thinking of the Raiders as they are right now. Next year, things can happen. Like with the Bucs, Tom brings in people, or he makes requirements, or asks for certain things, and they can get it worked out in that sense. So many things can change between now and then. It's hard to predict these things, though. For all we know, the 49ers might have trouble. Let's say some crazy scenario where the 49ers get put out of the playoffs because Jimmy G's ineptitude. All of a sudden, maybe they don't want to go back to Trey Lance once he gets immediately anyway, and maybe they sign Tom for a year, and Kyle Shanahan gets over his bullshit. Not likely, but I'm just saying, I'm just throwing out weird scenarios that we might not be able to anticipate. Weird stuff. There may be teams that we're not even thinking about that Tom has his eye on, and we'll be like, whoa, what the hell? I didn't see that coming. Or, like I suggested before with the Cowboys, what if Dak doesn't play very well at the end stretch and ends up being the reason they lose in the playoffs? And if he sucks, right? Maybe Dallas wants to trade Dak Prescott, get some stuff back for him, and then bring Tom along just to get that last one Super Bowl for Jerry Jones, of course, before he dies, so he can watch that. But there's all kinds of weird things that could happen between now and then. But I can tell you this, he's not going to be a Buck. So how about that? I think he wants to change everything that's happened there. So, okay. Results. Let's get those done. Okay. And after this episode, I will, of course, post these in a text manner in the comment section like I did last week. Okay. So the first matchup was Addy Visorno with Joe Burrow, and they were looking for least turnovers. Tyree Vaughn's alpha. For those of you guys who weren't here last week, if you have a Greek letter next to your name, it means that there's more than one entry for you. It means you have another entry somewhere else. Alpha means your first entry. So Tyree Vaughn lost. He had Ryan Tannehill. Burrow and Tannehill both. Neither had interceptions, so it came down. The tiebreaker was win or lose. Joe Burrow won his game. The Titans lost for Tannehill, so Addy goes on to play James Johnson's Gamma. Okay? Next, the matchup for Week 13 is going to be Nightwalker versus Mr. Automotive. Should be interesting. Okay. Now, remember, guys, this next week, you get to pick your quarterbacks. But in order to pick your quarterback, you have to be on the show. So you have to be here in the comment section. And when I call your matchup, you have to post. You have 10 to 15 seconds to post your quarterback that you want. After you win the dice roll. If you don't tell me then I'm going to go back to the list like we did in Week 12. Okay, so if you want to pick your own quarterback, and you can pick any quarterback you want, they don't have to be in the VonAllen top 12. It can be any quarterback you want. You may want to pick them based off a matchup or something weird, a weather condition, anything you want, but it'd be up to you. But you've got to be here when it's happening. Okay. John Thomas Chavez's alpha loses to Michael Brown's alpha. He had Ryan Tannehill, who threw for 300 yards. Garoppolo only threw for 226. So, John, you lost your alpha, but you do have a beta entry somewhere else. So, Michael Brown goes on to play Andy Butts' beta. So, Michael Brown's alpha. Okay. Next, we have Ozymandias 2014 alpha had Tua. He loses to Kevin Stratton's Nightly Sinister alpha. This was for non-turnovers. This one went 3 times, had to go to a second tiebreaker. Neither Tua or Garoppolo had any turnovers whatsoever. They both won their game, so the tiebreaker was most completions. Garoppolo had 26 to Tua is 22. So Nightly Sinister goes on to play against the Redcoats Epsilon, which is his 5th entry. Take a pick 13-13. Alpha Donnie with Lamar Jackson loses to the Gourd King. The Gourd King. Alpha himself. Let's say Joe Burrow. Number 2 is touchdowns. So Burrow had 1 touchdown. Jackson only had 1. So it went to the tiebreaker. Bengals won. Ravens lost, which, what the hell was that? Ravens. Okay. Gord King moves on to play Angel Iliev. Lord Varsh with Tua. Tua again. Look at that. Loses to James. James. Don't know who James is, but James, Alpha, if you're out there, you won. Mahomes got you the victory with 356 yards over Tua. He goes on to play Bitcoin Motorist's beta entry. Burst, Alpha with Jalen Hurts. 2 touchdowns over Biden Blues Alpha over Garoppolo with 1. Burst goes on to play Elf of Courage. Angel Nikolov, you have lost with Jalen Hurts to Zishan Hassan, who won with Jimmy Garoppolo for completions. Garoppolo had 26 over Jalen Hurts' 16. Zishan Hassan goes on to play Jalen next week. Stephen Allen versus Julius Byers Beta. He had Tannehill. Tannehill threw for no touchdowns. Lamar Jackson threw for 1. So Julius Byers goes on to play Tyree Vaughn's Delta entry. Then we have Colhan Jared. Colhan Jared, you got a bye in the first week, so you are playing Israel's Alpha entry. Russell Curry with Mahomes loses to Anthony Preston, who had Derek Carr. Who would have thought Derek Carr defeats Mahomes in the touchdown category? I thought Anthony Preston was screwed. Nicely done, Anthony Preston. You get the big victory, and next week you will play against Mr. Automotive's Alpha entry. Congratulations. The Red Coat Alpha defeated Wes Smith. Smith had Geno Smith, as his quarterback. This was for turnovers. Geno Smith had 2 turnovers, I believe an interception and a lost fumble. Herbert had 0. Redcoat gets the victory. He will play Luke R's Beta entry next week. Congratulations, Redcoat. Dinnerling, our other German here. Dennis Dinnerling. Turnover in the turnover department. He had Tua had 0. Ravens 52, Ray Lewis's Beta entry, which is Elliott. Elliott, you lost because Mahomes did have an interception. So, Dinnerling, you move on to play against James Johnson's Beta entry. Congratulations, Dennis. Dave Wilhauer, Alpha, defeats Michael Swearingen's Alpha, which means that both of you guys have another entry somewhere else. This is for completions. 2 had 22. Aaron Rodgers only had 11. The Aaron Rodgers situation, that was a bad break for you, Michael, man. Sorry about that. Dave Wilhauer, congratulations on your victory. You will play Nightwalker next week. Nightwalker's Beta entry. Thomas Allen, look at that. My dad stepping it up. It's rigged. It's rigged. My dad wins with Derek Carr over David Stevens. David Stevens, man, tough break. Yeah, Geno Smith, and he actually had 2 touchdowns, but it wasn't enough because Derek Carr, for some reason, decided that he was going to be Mr. Badass on Sunday. So Derek Carr gives him the victory, 3-2. Thomas Allen will play the Redcoat Beta entry next week. Congratulations, Father. Diane Tincher with the victory. Diane, if you're out there, Diane, you have won in the interception department. You have defeated Austin Thomas. Although Derek Carr threw for some touchdowns, he also had some turnovers. Diane, with Jalen Hurts there, you go on to play Mr. Automotive's Gamma entry next week. Congratulations, Diane. You are still alive. That takes us to the Byzantium side. I'm starting to lose my voice. Okay. Kevin Godnett's Beta entry. You had Aaron Rodgers. He had 2 turnovers. You lose to Israel's Beta entry, who had Garoppolo, 0 turnovers. Israel, your Beta entry will go on to play James Johnson's Delta entry next week. Congratulations, Israel. For the record, I have not called anyone a Beta male, so just put that out there. Okay. Except for Israel. Israel P's Beta male entry defeats Kevin Godnett. Okay. Next week will be Lord Varsh's Beta versus James's Beta there. Biden blah, 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 blah was already on the bye. Andy Butts Alpha versus Brad Gold. Brad Gold had Tannehill. Andy Butts had Hurts, and it was another completions game there. Brad Gold goes on to win, and he will play Biden blah, blah, blah Beta next week. Elliot, you may have lost your beta entry on the other side, but on this one, you have won, my friend. Elliot gets the victory with Tom Brady in the turnover department. Tom Brady had 0. Johnny R. Muggins had Mahomes, and Mahomes had a turnover. So Muggins is out. Congratulations, Elliot, for moving on. You will play the Redcoats Delta entry next week. Bitcoin Motorist with Mahomes. This was yards. Mahomes had 356 yards over Jimmy Garoppolo, 226 belonging to Roman Marisak. Bitcoin Motorist, congratulations. As you guys know, Bitcoin did a great job on the debate. And Roman Marisak is actually co-host with me on our MMA live show. So 2 guys who were both really involved here at VonAllen Sports went head-to-head there. Bitcoin Motors with the victory over Diaburst. With the victory, we'll play Diaburst next week. Luke R., congratulations. Your Alpha won as well over Dave Wilhauer. This was yards. Jalen Hurts 310 over Cars 305. Luke, you will play Nightwalkers Delta next week. Congratulations. Donnie, you may have lost in the and on the Roman side, but you have won on the Byzantium side. Donnie, take a pick. He wins with Burrow. This is an interesting one. He had Joe Burrow. Maria had Tua. Now, this was for interceptions, turnovers. Neither Burrow or Tua had any turnovers, so it went to, the tiebreaker was who won or lost. Both of them won. Dolphins and Bengals won. So it went to the next level, which is completions. They both had 22 completions each. So we had to go all the way back to yards. Yards as the decider, and that was barely decided. Burrow wins 302 to 299. Donnie goes on to play John Thomas Chavez's beta next week. Elf of Courage. Beta loses to Tiffany. Tiffany has a victory here with Herbert, who threw 312 yards over Burrow's 302. Tiffany, you will go on to play Ozymandias' beta next week. Congratulations, Tiffany. Salami Pizza gets the victory over Ryan Dyer. He had Geno Smith. Salami Pizza's got Garoppolo. 0 turnovers for Jimmy. Everybody had Jimmy. Jimmy was the deciding for most of you guys. Salami Pizza will go on to play the Gourd King next week. Congratulations, Salami Pizza. Tyree Vaughn's Gamma will play Donnie's beta next week as well. Sherry Allen, my sister, with Geno Smith, gets the victory. 27 completions by Geno Smith over James Johnson's Alpha, who had Lamar Jackson and only had 16 completions. Sherry Allen will move on to play Eddie Visorno's beta. Congratulations, Sherry. Julius Beyer defeats Nightwalker's Alpha entry. Nightwalker had Brady. Julius Beyer had Garoppolo, but neither of the quarterbacks had an interception, so it went on to who won or lost. And Garoppolo's 49ers won, and Tom Brady's Bucs lost because they suck ass. So, Julius Beyer gets the victory. Julius, congratulations. You will play Michael Brown next week. Tyree Vaughn gets the victory over Kevin Godnett's Alpha, with Joe Burrow having both 1 touchdown each with Lamar Jackson. But Burrow won, Jackson lost, so that gives Tyree the victory. He will play Nightly Sinister's beta entry next week. Congratulations, Tyree. Mastermind, you have defeated Leo Gallimara with Tua. This was, the stat line was touchdowns. Both had Tua and Mahomes had 1. Both won their game, so then it came down to who had the least turnovers, and that would be Tua with the victory. So Mastermind, you will play Thomas Allen, beta entry for next week. Congratulations. Raphael Hagoy, you have defeated Michael Swearingen's beta entry with Geno Smith. So Raphael Hagoy is a 49ers fan and had to rely on a Seahawks quarterback to get him the victory, which is probably painful for him, but he still got the victory with 2 touchdowns over Garoppolo's 1. He had to defeat his own quarterback. How Funny as that. Rafael Hagoy play James Johnson next week. Coolhan Jared says a $2 super chat. He says, Joe Shiesty. Jason Allen, my brother, gets the victory over Caleb Nehus. He had Herbert with 3 touchdowns over Aaron Rodgers' 2 touchdowns. Jason, you will go on to play the Redcoat Gamma next week. So we'll have Jason versus Jason. As we all know, Redcoat's real name is Jason Patrick Saunders. So the Battle of the Jasons next week. And that's everybody. So congratulations to all of you guys who won. And thank you for being supporters here and being in the tournament. And we're gonna do this every year, every season now. Probably do, if we start at the beginning of a season next year, we'll probably be able to do it more than once. So going back to when we're talking about a logo with a Greek Spartan's helmet, that's the logo I was referring to. So I'll try to get you a bigger version on the next show. All right. Okay, guys, we've been on here for 2 hours and 40 minutes. I'm going to post the results for you guys once I get off here, okay? So you can look for those. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you being here, and we will see you this weekend for the show to get you ready for Week 13 and to pick your quarterbacks. Remember, you got to be here, though. You got to be here to pick your quarterback. All right? Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate all of you. Have a good night.